Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my channel, Fluent Pro Hub.
Welcome to my channel, Fluent Pro Hub, where we explore why English feels so difficult and how you can master it step by step. If this is your first time here, let me just say, welcome to the family. I'm Emily, and I'm so excited to have you join us today. If you've ever felt like learning English is like climbing a mountain, or maybe even an impossible mission, you're in the right place. We're going to dive deep into why English feels so tricky, and more importantly, how you can start mastering it step by step. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and let's get started. Let me ask you something. Have you ever tried speaking English and thought, wait, did I say that right? Or maybe you've read a word and pronounced it completely wrong because, well, English doesn't always play fair. Trust me, even native speakers mess up sometimes. But here's the thing. English isn't hard because you're not good enough. It's hard because the language itself has some quirks that can trip anyone up. Today, we're going to talk about those quirks, and along the way, I'll share practical tips to help you tackle them. By the end of this episode, my goal is for you to feel like, okay, I get it now, I can do this. Ready? Let's go. Raise your hand if you've ever seen a word like Wednesday and thought, what? Why does it look nothing like how it sounds? Or how about knife? Why is there a silent K? Seriously, who decided this was a good idea? The truth is, English spelling has been shaped by centuries of history. Words were borrowed from other languages, and over time, their pronunciation changed, but their spelling stayed the same. So now we're left with words that just don't make sense. Frustrating, right? But here's a quick tip. Instead of trying to memorize every single word, focus on patterns. For example, words with OOW, like though, through, and fought, might look similar, but they follow different pronunciation rules. Once you learn these patterns, things start getting easier. Now let's talk about grammar. Imagine this. You spend hours memorizing when to use a, an, or the. Then you hear a native speaker say something like, I need to go to hospital, without the. What? How does that even work? And don't get me started on tenses. Why do we have 12 different ways to talk about the past? Seriously, wouldn't life be easier if we could just say, I eat yesterday, instead of figuring out whether it's I ate, I have eaten, or I was eating? It's enough to make anyone throw their grammar book out the window. Here's the thing, though. Native speakers don't always follow the rules perfectly either. Sometimes they rely on context instead of strict grammar. So instead of stressing too much about getting every detail right, focus on understanding the basics and practicing in real-life situations. Here's another big one. Pronunciation. Have you ever tried saying through, though, and fought in the same sentence? They look almost identical, but they sound completely different. No wonder people get tongue-tied. Then there's the stress patterns. In English, where you put the emphasis in a word can completely change its meaning. For example, say record. If you stress the first syllable, record, it's a noun. But if you stress the second syllable, record, it's a verb. Confusing, right? And honestly, who came up with this stuff? But here's a simple trick. Listen to native speakers as much as possible. Pay attention to how they pronounce words and try to mimic them. Over time, your ear will get used to these patterns and you'll start sounding more natural. Finally, let's talk about idioms and slang. Think about phrases like, it's raining cats and dogs. If you took that literally, you'd picture actual cats and dogs falling from the sky, which would be terrifying, by the way. But no, it just means it's raining heavily. Or how about slang like lit or salty? These words mean something totally different in everyday English than their original meanings. Keeping up with these expressions can feel like trying to catch smoke with your hands. It's slippery and exhausting. But here's the good news. You don't need to learn every idiom or slang term out there. Focus on the ones that are most commonly used, and you'll be able to join conversations without feeling lost. All right, friends, now that we've talked about why English feels so challenging, let's focus on how we can fix it. Here are some actionable steps you can start using today to become more confident in English. Instead of trying to learn every single word in the dictionary, focus on high-frequency words, the ones you'll actually use in everyday conversations. For example, words like get, make, and go are super versatile and can be used in hundreds of contexts. Use apps like Anki or Quizlet to practice these words regularly. Listening is one of the best ways to improve your English. Watch movies, listen to podcasts, or follow YouTube channels in English. Start with subtitles if you need them, but gradually challenge yourself to understand without them. Over time, you'll notice patterns in how words are pronounced and used. Here's the truth. The only way to get better at speaking is to speak. Find a language partner, join online communities, or even talk to yourself in the mirror. Don't worry about making mistakes. Native speakers make them all the time. The key is to keep practicing until you feel comfortable. Instead of memorizing grammar rules, try learning them through real-life examples. For instance, watch how native speakers use the or a and an in sentences. Over time, you'll start noticing patterns and applying them naturally in your own speech. Finally, celebrate your progress, no matter how small. Did you learn a new word today? Great! Did you understand a full sentence in a movie? Amazing! Every step counts, and before you know it, you'll be speaking English with confidence. Remember this. Learning English is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs, but the key is to stay consistent and enjoy the process. At Fluent Pro Hub, we're here to support you every step of the way. Keep practicing, stay curious, and most importantly, have fun with it. Because when you enjoy the process, the results will follow naturally. And hey, don't forget to smile. You're doing great. Now, let's dive deeper into practical solutions, because knowing the problems is just the first step. The real magic happens when you start applying strategies that work for you. So let's talk about some specific techniques you can use to improve your English starting today. First, focus on building a strong vocabulary, but don't overwhelm yourself with random words. Instead, pick themes that interest you. For example, if you love cooking, learn words related to food and recipes, like sauté, simmer, and whisk. Or, if you're into technology, learn terms like algorithm, interface, and bandwidth. This way, you're not just memorizing words, you're connecting them to your interests and making them stick. Next, let's talk about listening skills, because listening is the foundation of language learning. Think about it. When babies learn their first language, they spend months just listening before they start speaking. So immerse yourself in English as much as possible. Listen to songs, watch shows, or follow influencers who speak English. But here's the key. Don't just passively listen. Actively engage with the content. For example, if you're watching a movie, pause after every scene and summarize what happened in your own words. Or if you're listening to a podcast, Jot down 3 new words or phrases you learned and try using them in sentences. Another powerful technique is shadowing. This is where you mimic a native speaker word for word. Try finding a short video or audio clip of someone speaking English and repeat exactly what they say, paying attention to their tone, rhythm, and intonation. It's like karaoke for language learners, and it's incredibly effective. Now let's talk about speaking, because speaking is where most people feel the most nervous. But here's a secret. Everyone feels nervous at first. Even native speakers stumble over their words sometimes. So give yourself permission to make mistakes. And remember that every time you speak, you're improving. Here's a fun exercise. Record yourself speaking English on your phone. Pick a topic you're passionate about, like your favorite hobby or a recent trip, and talk about it for 2 minutes. At first, you might feel awkward, but trust me, this exercise will boost your confidence over time. And here's why. When you listen back to your recording, you'll notice areas where you can improve, like pronunciation or grammar, and you'll also start recognizing your strengths, which is a great confidence booster. Now let's talk about grammar, because grammar is often the biggest source of frustration for English learners. But here's the good news. You don't need to memorize every single rule. Instead, focus on the most common grammar structures and practice them in context. For example, instead of memorizing the difference between present perfect and past simple, try using them in sentences like, I have visited Paris 3 times, versus, I visited Paris last year. See how the context changes the meaning? Once you start noticing these patterns in real-life conversations, grammar will start feeling less intimidating and more intuitive. Now let's talk about writing, because writing is a great way to reinforce what you've learned in speaking and listening. Start by keeping a daily journal in English. Write about your day, your thoughts, or anything that comes to mind. Don't worry about being perfect. Focus on expressing yourself, and over time, your writing will naturally improve. Another tip is to read aloud whenever you can, whether it's a blog post, a news article, or even a book. Reading aloud helps you practice pronunciation and fluency at the same time. And here's a bonus tip. Try summarizing what you read in your own words. This will help you internalize new vocabulary and sentence structures. Now let's talk about motivation, because staying motivated is one of the biggest challenges when learning a language. So here's a strategy. Find a reason to learn English that excites you. Maybe you want to travel the world and communicate with people from different cultures, or maybe you want to advance your career by improving your English skills. Whatever your reason is, remind yourself of it every day and celebrate small wins along the way, because every step forward is worth celebrating. Finally, let's talk about consistency, because consistency is the key to success in language learning. Think of it like exercising. You won't see results overnight, but if you practice a little bit every day, you'll start noticing improvements over time. So set realistic goals for yourself, like learning 5 new words a day or practicing speaking for 10 minutes a day, and stick to them. Remember that progress is progress, no matter how small, and before you know it, you'll be speaking English with confidence. You know, sometimes I think English is like a mischievous friend who loves to play tricks on us. Like, why does read sound different depending on whether you're talking about the past or the present? Or why do we say on the bus, but in the car? It's like English is sitting there, laughing at us, saying, bet you didn't see that coming. But here's the thing. Once you start understanding these quirks, you'll realize they're what make English so unique and kind of fun. For example, Think about how versatile the word get is. You can get up, get over it, get a move on, or even get lost, depending on the context. It's like a chameleon that changes its meaning based on how you use it. And once you start noticing these patterns, English starts feeling less like a puzzle and more like a game. So embrace the quirks and enjoy the process, because learning a language is as much about discovering a new culture as it is about mastering the rules. Remember this: learning English is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs, but the key is to stay consistent and enjoy the process. At Fluent Pro Hub, we're here to support you every step of the way. Keep practicing, stay curious, and most importantly, have fun with it. Because when you enjoy the process, the results will follow naturally. And hey, don't forget to smile. You're doing great.
If you found this video helpful, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're here for the first time, don't forget to subscribe for more engaging content to improve your English. Keep practicing and take care.